G'day everyone, thanks for joining me. I'm RaidzeroAU and just making a short video here, hopefully only about 5 or 10 minutes long, just to have a little bit of a chat and just to let you guys know what's been going on, because obviously there's not been any content on the channel for a little while now. So, but before I get into that, I just want to wish everyone a very happy new year. Hopefully all good health and prosperity for 2024. So, and hopefully those that have celebrated the holiday season, you've had good time off, spent some time with family and friends, and feeling recharged for the new year. So now onto the main subject of this. It's probably a bit of a difficult one for me to make. I've thought about it for quite a while. So probably the story goes back about 2 years. Just for those that are wondering, I've not scripted this at all, so I'm just probably going to be rambling for a little bit. But yeah, probably about 2 years ago, when I had a whole bunch of lymph nodes in my upper neck and things like that, swollen for whatever reason. And I woke up in the middle of the night coughing with a big coughing fit, and had an extreme pain at the top of my rib cage. I remember that vividly. And since that time, I've had a lump at the top of my chest. So I went and had it checked out, and they ultrasounded it, had x-rays done and things like that. And it all came back that they said it was a reactive lymph node, something I've not heard of, but I looked it up and they do exist. So sometimes your lymph nodes can swell up and sometimes they then just don't go down. It can be permanent, it can be temporary. Well, this lump just stayed there for probably the last 2 years. And in hindsight, what I did notice was over the last 2 years, my energy levels just plummeted. So it didn't matter how much sleep I got. I'd wake up, I'd just be exhausted. Well, fast forward a couple of years, and then one day I noticed where the lump was, I just had a bit of a red mark there. So now I'm going to bring some pictures up. For those that are a bit worried about that, obviously, I'm not sure how YouTube would deal with actual photos of it. So these are the actual photos, but what I've done is I've placed a artistic filter over them so that basically it probably doesn't have the detail in there, because I'm sure there's those of you that don't want to see that. But anyway, so I had this little red mark. Over the period of 10 days, it developed into this. So this is the first picture. And obviously I work in the health profession. I've shown people at work and they kept telling me to get checked out, and I knew I had to get it checked out. I mean, it's not usual. But your typical Aussie male, I'm like, yeah, you know, it'll probably be okay. I'll just put a dressing over it and just to protect it. And you know, maybe I've had a bite there or something and it's got a bit infected. But I went to the doctor and the doctor said, well, you know, it's not exactly what I was expecting to see. So he put me on some antibiotics. He said, well, we'll try the antibiotics. If it doesn't improve, then basically we might just have to get a CT scan done on it. And if it gets worse, he gave me a letter. He said, present to the emergency department. Well, over the next couple of days, it got worse. It was just getting bigger and nastier. No pain though from it. There was no pain at all from it, which was unusual. So I presented to the emergency department and they had a look at it. They took some biopsies of it and things like that. Their initial thought was that it was probably skin cancer. Now, obviously living in Australia, skin cancer is very prevalent here. And looking up images of what they were saying it was a sebaceous cell or a squamous cell carcinoma, which is a form of skin cancer. Looked them up and I went, yeah, well, it could be. Yeah, it looks like that. But then I don't expose myself to a lot of sun. I did when I was younger, but nowadays not so much. So kind of didn't ring true. And the thing that in the back of my head was always worried me was that it was where this lump was. So then I went home after being in ED for effectively 24 hours and had to wait for the results. Have to say that's one of the worst times I've ever gone through because I knew something wasn't right here, and you're just dreading that phone call because you're just waiting for them to effectively ring you with bad news. Well, the phone call came, and basically the phone call was that, yeah, it showed that it was some form of cancer. So, but they'd sent it off histology and cystology and things like that, and cytology, sorry, things like that to try to determine what it was. Well, the next thing that happened was I got a call from a hematologist and asking for me to come in. I think it was, I believe it was even just the next day to talk, like from the phone call. They said, yeah, could you come in tomorrow? So I went in and saw them, and it turned out that it had been identified as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. To be honest, it didn't come as a surprise. I kind of thought that might be the case, the fact that there was this lymph node that was sitting there, and it was the same place. So that wasn't surprising to me. Initially, when they thought it was skin cancer, they said they're going to have to, it'll be surgical options and they'd have to chop out the entire side of my chest. And then I'd need to deal with the plastics people to have a skin graft put on there. So that wasn't looking good. As it turned out, they said, well, you don't need surgery. What you need is chemotherapy, and that will effectively, their words were, that will melt that away. So I'm like, okay, well, the first thing they also said to me when they said it was lymphoma was that it was the most common form of lymphoma. And when I've looked it up, there's no known associated risks for that particular type of cancer. They simply just don't know why people get it. So that's kind of interesting, especially from a health professional point of view. While this is all going on as well, I've been told that I couldn't work. Um, they just did not want me working because I work in a high acuity health situation, and I couldn't afford to expose myself to any kind of infection at that time. So effectively, that's from the time I went to emergency, I had to stop work at that point. So fast forward again, I had a number of scans and things like that, but to be honest, it was probably about a month before the chemo started. And I'm going to bring up a second picture now. This is what it had developed to in the over that month from the first picture. So you got the first picture there on the left. In the middle, basically, this is what it had developed to the day before chemo started. So as you can see, it had grown quite a bit, which was a concern. I was looking at it every day. It was nasty. So started chemo, and where I am at the moment is basically I am still in the middle of chemo. Has some nasty effects on your body, I have to admit. Main thing is lack of energy. So the fatigue I was feeling beforehand, basically, well, effectively it's worse now with the chemo, but that will pass. That will pass. I know that's a temporary thing. I'm going to bring up one last photo, and this is taken a couple of days ago, and this is what it looks like now at the moment. It's healing over. It's a slow process healing. Normally I'm a pretty good healer, but with chemo, that slows the healing down. So effectively you have chemo, all healing stops on it. If it tries to heal, then basically the chemo just kills it. kills whatever it's growing. Then I have my recovery period and it's able to heal again. So I'm expecting probably in the next week or so that'll be good. I'm not concerned about that. What I am happy about is obviously to see the change in it. And that happened almost instantly after the first chemo. I started to see it going down and getting less. So the treatment is working. First thing they said to me initially was that yes, it's lymphoma, but it is treatable and it is curable. Those are the two words that I'm hanging on to. My aim here is basically we're going to deal with this. I'm going to get back to work. That is my whole aim. I'm going to recover my life. Because effectively, those of you that, there might be those of you that have gone through similar situations or have known someone who has gone through a similar situation. Effectively, your life almost just stops at that point when you get that diagnosis and when you start treatment. And it's been difficult, I'd have to say, from a mental point of view. Just suddenly, everything just suddenly stops. And you just become effectively just a cancer patient going through your treatment. So, yeah, it's been difficult. That's what's been going on. I'm not going to dwell on it too much longer, but that's what's been going on. I know I started a 7 Days to Die series, and that just suddenly stopped. Well, that was right at the point where basically this all started to show up. My aim for the new year is I'm going to be getting back into recording, bringing back some of the old series, and maybe bringing back doing a few other things as well. But we'll see how we go. That's all dependent day to day on my energy levels, obviously. So there we are. That's where we sit at this stage. So I thought it was important that I just made a quick video, or made a video, just to let you guys know what had been going on, because I know there would be those of you out there that were wondering, and to let you know where I'm aiming at. So once again, my aim is cure and we move forward. That's it. That's my entire goal. So that's all I'm going to say on this matter. If you've got any concerns or anything, or any questions or anything, like, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll attempt to answer anything I can. So I want to be fully open about this, but that's where I'm going to leave it. So once again, I want to wish everybody the happiest of New Year, good health, good prosperity, moving forward, looking forward to 2024. That's where I'm going to leave it today. I would say I hope you enjoyed this video. I dare say it's not been a great video. So, but it is what it is. So I look forward to seeing you all next time. I'm RaidzeroAU, signing out.